You sit and look out or look around you at the beauty of this church. I'm reminded of a somewhat random fact that artists will tell you. And that's that if you look at something, not just a work of art, but anything, you'd be staring at the wall, it takes 2 full minutes to actually see all the detail in front of you. And I'm not just talking about some complicated picture that has lots of figures in it. I mean, even if you're just looking at a wall, to begin to notice there's little chips in the paint, or there might be a slight fading, there might be a smudge. 2 minutes of just sitting there and staring before your eye and brain fully comprehend everything that's there. I remember I was once teaching high school, and I thought I'd amaze the students with this fact. So I said, you look at the ceiling, but you wouldn't know just by glancing how many acoustic tiles are up there. This one kid raised his hand and said, there's 42. How do you know that? He said, Father, don't you think I've spent hours staring at the ceiling in your class? So if you happen to know how many concentric circles are in the OL chandeliers, I won't take it personally. I'm mentioning that because this year was my 23rd celebrating Christmas Masses. And it's amazing, right? I can only imagine what OLPH looked like. Father Jerry was telling me you had about 2,500 in the Palladium alone. And so over the years, I've gotten used to looking out at churches that are packed to the gills. And even though, obviously, the faces change, still, in some ways, it's like looking at the same picture. Because what you see there is the same pattern repeated, regardless of the demographics of the parish, regardless of the shape of the church. You see them. And what you mostly see are families or close friends. And they're often together in a way that they're not together any other time during the year, at least if the kids are grown up and they've moved away. They've come back, they've got their kids, you've got grandparents, grandchildren. Maybe young adults have their significant others with them for the first time. Whatever it might be, and you just look out, and my 2 minutes is just noticing, yes, the faces, but the family dynamics that are represented there. And you can almost make it out. You can see the folks who are there week in, week out. That's their spot. Hopefully they weren't dislodged by someone else. And you can see the ones who probably would rather be on the moon than be in church, but there they are that day, even if they're there no other day of the year. And you can see the ones who are clearly out-of-towners, and maybe this is their first time in that city or that church, and they're kind of taking it all in. But all of that is there, and I think Deacon Chris can attest to this. When we're up here, it's an extraordinary privilege just to be able to look out and to notice. But as the years have gone by, I find myself noticing with ever more detail the stories that are represented. And obviously, I think it's fitting that we always celebrate this Feast of the Holy Family at this time of year. Because oftentimes you still have those guests and family members in town, and even if the church isn't so packed, you will be going back to those same people, or you'll be flush with the memories of what it was like to be together. Or let's be brutally honest, there might be a little bit of a poignant sting in your heart for perhaps who wasn't there this year. Maybe you've lost family members or old friends. Maybe there's some divisions in the family and others have stayed away. Maybe illness have kept them out. But my point is, it's a good exercise, maybe at this time of year, to take a deep look at our own families. And even to look at the photographs, right? If you're over 100, you might actually have a piece of paper in a frame hanging on your wall somewhere. And to look at that picture, or certainly to pull it up on your phone, and you can go back over the years, what's changed. Maybe you've got one of those photographs when they were all just little kids, and now they're empty nesters, or they've got kids in grade school or high school. You can look at a spouse and think about all the years that have unfolded. Because what Paul gives us in the second reading today is a way maybe to think about that. He's talking to an early church, a church that he probably helped found in Colossae. And he's saying, as you gather together, put this on, almost put this on like a garment. And he says, put on generosity, put on kindness, and especially put on forgiveness. Those aren't just nice words that we ought to try and practice every now and then. He's talking to a church that should be held together by those feelings and sentiments. And then he says, over everything else, put on the love that you share with them. No one would disagree with that. It sounds nice. You could buy a Hallmark Christmas card and it would probably say something like that. But for Paul, it meant something because he wasn't talking necessarily about packed churches. Those didn't exist in his day. He's talking about what held these people together in the face sometimes of great challenges, as they were just coming to know what it meant to be a follower of this man Jesus. But for us, most of us who've grown up with that, who are used to the packed churches on Christmas, who know what it means to gather together again, both for the blessings and sometimes for the challenges, we can forget. And maybe just a little Christmas exercise is to do that 2-minute look at your family. Don't creep them out. You can just sort of do it in your heart. But to really look at them, because words like generosity and kindness and forgiveness, those aren't just throwaway lines. They look like something in your family. If you look at those two faces, maybe you see a story of generosity or forgiveness. Or maybe you see a longing in your heart that those things might come to be realized because for some reason they've been lost. Whatever it is for you, just take some time to take it in. And it's amazing how when we focus our attention, it's like different layers begin to surface. And maybe there's one predominant emotion that's governing your feelings today, but with that deeper look, you begin to see beyond it, maybe beyond the anger or beyond the shame, and begin to recognize what ultimately we're grateful for and the beautiful blessings that we've received. And Paul says, over all of that, put on love. He calls it the bond which holds us together. The lig in religio, religion, that root, lig, is the same root that you have in the word ligament. Now, I'm no doctor, but I think ligaments hold something together. Maybe it's our bones. But that was the original meaning of religion, that which holds us together. But before it holds us together as a parish that packs 2,500 people in the Palladium, it holds us together as families. And so maybe in this week, this Christmas week of the Christmas season, a little spiritual exercise, just take that deep 2-minute look into your own family, because that ultimately is what holds us together, when the church is packed and when it isn't.
Thank you for participating in this production of our virtual Mass. Your presence means so much. Every day, so many parishioners connect to OLPH through the digital ministry. The digital ministry is one of almost 80 ministries supported by the parish. That's why your support of the parish is crucial, so we can continue to have the resources to fund all of our ministries that touch the lives of many. Thank you for watching, continue to watch, and thanks again for your support.